so then you got onto the show.
Then I got onto The Apprentice, which was crazy because I'm a fan of the show.
Me too.
So being in it was like being inside a simulation. I'm there in a suit with candidates, Lord Sugar, Tim, Brandon Brady, and it was just such a crazy experience. It was a lot harder than it seemed, though, because
I feel like I sit there every year and I scream at my TV.
it's so hard because firstly, each episode is filmed over 3 to 4 days, 12 to 16 hours of filming a day.
Welcome to the Greenwich Means Business podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Greenwich Means Business podcast. My name is Natalie. I am your host, and today I am joined by a rising star, a very interesting person, someone who you may have seen on television as well. We are joined with Frederick Afrifa, and weirdly enough, me and Frederick have something very, very in common, which is that we both came from Italy at a young age. So should we start there?
I think we should. We should.
So Frederick,
Yes.
you moved to the UK at what age?
I was 12 years old.
12 years old, from Italy. What was
From
the
Italy.
culture shock like? Where in Italy did you come from? Give us the rundown.
It was the biggest culture shock ever. So I grew up in Milan, in Italy, in quite a nice neighborhood, safe neighborhood. And all I ever knew of London was London Bridge, Buckingham Palace, the London Eye,
Me too.
the landmarks. That's where I thought I was going to live. So I thought I was going to get one of those apartments overseeing the River Thames. And when we landed at Stansted Airport, and got coached to Victoria.
Oh, not Stansted. I
Not
landed
Stansted.
at Gatwick.
Okay.
Okay.
I landed at Stansted. And then I got coached to Victoria. And I was in central London. And then we did a little bit of a tour, and it was amazing. I saw Buckingham Palace. And I remember seeing the guards at Buckingham Palace and asking Dad, I guess, Dad, where's our house? And he said, we're not home just yet. And then we got on the tube. And when I got out the station, I said, hey, Dad, are we still in London? Very different atmosphere. He said, of course we are. Son, welcome to Brixton. And it was pre-gentrified Brixton. It was quite the culture shock. I remember the first thing I noticed was the pace of life. In Italy, you wait at the traffic light until it's green and then you cross.
Yeah.
In Brixton, my dad was like, yeah, we're crossing. And I was like, no, but it's not green yet. And he said, look, now you're in London. If there's no cars, you just cross the road. And yeah, that was my
Because
introduction.
your father, he came here before.
He was
the
here a
rest of
year
your
before
family.
us. He was here a
Okay.
year before us, yeah.
Okay, so he had to experience this on his own, didn't he?
Yes, he did. His uncle worked at Harrods. So when he lost his job in Milan, he moved here to work with his uncle. And then we moved
In
the year
Harrods?
after. Yeah,
That's quite iconic.
to be fair.
That's quite iconic. That's very Londony. Okay, so what was your young life like when you moved here? What did you do? What did you study?
Yeah, so I was in high school. I was trying to learn English, but at the same time, I was trying to acclimatize to South London because no one really spoke normal English. They
Yeah.
spoke slang. And I remember looking in the dictionary thinking, what do these words mean? They're not in the dictionary. And I'll try and pronounce them. People may laugh. And that actually had a deep effect on my confidence because I felt like I struggled to have conversations because I'd try and speak slang, but I would misinterpret certain words and people would be confused or
I
they
get
would
what you mean.
laugh. So I thought, you know what, let me just keep quiet because that would work. And I did, but I didn't do my confidence any favors. But I was always good at running and always good at sports, and that's where I grew my confidence.
I feel like here there's a big culture, especially when you're in secondary school, of running.
Yeah.
Like, those are the popular kids.
It
Did
is
that
true.
help you?
It helps me a lot because sports days, I would always win on sports day.
Yeah.
And then that helps me to become popular because people were like, oh, he's really fast. And I was in a football team, so sports helped me a lot.
Yeah. Now, I'll be honest, guys, I did watch his documentary, so I have a little bit of an upper hand here with asking questions. But I saw that you used to do a little bit of track running back in Italy, right? And then during COVID, you were offered a scholarship to America. So do you want to talk about that? Because it's a struggle, isn't it?
Yeah, so I started running here. My PE teacher literally forced me to start athletics, which was amazing. Shortly after, I signed for a team in Italy, in Tuscany. So I would go to Italy quite often because I'd run the circuit over there. And then I got into the Italian national team and I'll do some relay practice. And things are going really well. 2019, I was actually national champ.
Oh, wow.
So I won the 400 meter championship in Italy. I know.
Come on, okay.
But then COVID happened. And then things got really difficult because I got COVID. And I got a scholarship offer, which was then taken away because I couldn't go to America anymore. I got COVID, so my performances declined. And then my team in Italy stopped paying me. My sponsor dropped me. And by 2021, I went from a sponsored athlete, national champ on the verge of going to the Olympics, to no longer sponsored, not getting any money from athletics and having to get a job.
I couldn't imagine that.
Yeah.
And you mentioned that you used to work in Sainsbury's when you were a
Yes.
teenager, and then you went back to Sainsbury's.
That was the hardest part
It's a
because,
full circle moment.
you know, as a 16-year-old, you don't mind working at Sainsbury's, doing a part-time,
Yeah.
getting a bit of money.
I used to work for Next.
There you go.
Yeah.
But then, you know, as a graduate and as someone who was a professional athlete, going back into Sainsbury's as a delivery driver, it was such a humbling moment. And it did feel a bit embarrassing at the time. And I always say there's nothing wrong with being a delivery driver.
Of course.
It's just that where I've come from, you know, I think I'm going to go to the Olympics, to now being a delivery driver in South London. It did feel like a fall from grace. And I definitely think those were some of my hardest times.
How did you get through that? Because I mean, I feel like it's not just me. A lot of students home and a lot of people, they reach that point in their life where they think they're doing so amazing, then they crumble, they have that failure, and they don't know how to bounce back. They just shut themselves out. A lot of people develop depression at that time. So how did you get through that? What would you recommend?
For me, it's always been understanding that me doing well would benefit more than myself. And you know, for me, it's about my community, it's about my family. But for other people, it could be their children, their parents. So I knew that I needed to get out of this hole for more than just myself. And that's what really helped me in those moments where things weren't going well, where I was pretty much on that spectrum of depression, where I felt like giving up. I thought, you know, giving up will not just be to the detriment of me. It's also to the detriment of my family, my friends, people that believed in me. And that's what really helped me, just honing in on the reason why I wanted to do well, and it being a selfless thing.
Wow. So once you have come back to working in Sainsbury's, what happened? How did you bounce back?
There was a shift where it was snowing,
Yeah.
and it's hard enough to walk when it's snowing.
What year was this?
2021.
Okay.
Jan 2021. So it's hard enough to walk when it's snowing, let alone drive a whole lorry. And it was terrible. The van was skidding. I was late for my deliveries because it's hard to drive.
Yeah.
So then the customers were angry, and then the managers were angry at me.
But
and
it's
I'd say,
snowing.
guys, it's snowing. And I just hate it. And I remember that was the shift. I was like, I'm done. So I handed in my resignation. Yeah, it was crazy. And then while I was doing those delivery shifts, though, they were like 6-hour shifts, I would go on YouTube and type in how to turn my life around, how to make my life better. And I stumbled across personal development
Can we
videos.
stop? That's deep.
It is.
That's
How to
why-
make
that's
my life
crazy.
better. Honestly.
Okay.
That's exactly what I did.
Sorry, carry on.
Let's go. And I came across some videos on personal development. So this dude called Jim Ron, one other dude called Les Brown, and they are motivational speakers.
Mm-hmm.
And they would give advice from their perspective on what to do to turn your life around. One thing that they all said, even though they had different philosophies, was that you needed to really be able to communicate to people. And it's not something I ever really thought about.
Yeah.
But they helped me understand the importance of whatever field you're in, you're going to be in a position where you have to speak to people. And even if you have a lot of knowledge, but you can't communicate it, no one will ever know. And I thought, okay, cool. So I need to work on this skill. So as an athlete, the way I got better at every skill is I just did it a lot. So initially in the gym, I was bad. I did loads of gym, and then I got really good at lifting.
Mm-hmm.
My block starts were bad. I did loads of starts, then I got good. So I thought, I think I just need to get a lot of speaking to get better at speaking. So I emailed 100 primary schools a day, 5 days a week, for 2 months. Crazy. 4,000.
But you know what they say? They say that obsession is the key to success.
I somewhat agree with that. And I think obsession has bad PR because it's not always a bad thing. Like, I was
Yeah.
obsessed with improving and with getting out of my bad circumstances. And it took that amount of volume because with the 500 schools I would email a week, I would only hear back from maybe 50 of them. And out of those 50, 30 would say no. And then 10 would say maybe, and 10 would say yes. And that was from 500.
Yeah.
And I'd only get 10. So
It's like job applications nowadays.
precisely. So that's what happened. I emailed loads of primary schools. I asked and offered to speak for free.
Mm-hmm.
I warned them that wasn't very good, but I had a good story from my time in athletics. And then I started to speak in schools. And then some schools eventually started to pay me. Then I started to document the journey on social media. And then some of those videos went viral. Then I opened up more opportunities. And then before I knew it, by accident, I became a speaker.
I feel like for me though, it's where do you find, I mean, you must have been interested in public speaking though, as in general, because where do you just wake up one morning and choose to email 500 schools?
I was
know?
interested in getting out of my circumstances. So public speaking is what worked. But I did loads of other things.
Yeah. You were a hustler.
I was a hustler. I had a podcast. I was doing music. I was trying modeling. I tried speaking. I was like, I'm getting out of these circumstances by force. And speaking is what ended up working.
Yeah, but you didn't want anything traditional. Like did you see yourself sitting at a desk job?
I didn't see myself sitting at a desk job, especially because of my time at Sainsbury's. It just didn't work for me. So I just thought, I can't see myself doing this. And also before that, I was an athlete. So I'm my own boss. I'm just training. And I had all this energy from athletics. Sitting down in an office just wouldn't have worked for me.
I respect that. I respect that a lot. I think it's important to look at who you are as a person and find out what kind of like sector it would be best for you to work in.
Agreed.
I think we've reached a point. Is there anything in between that you want to add?
Not really. The speaking thing started to blow up, and then I thought, how do I get some more visibility? Which I'm assuming is the next thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So Frederick was actually on The Apprentice, guys. So I am sitting next to a star. I never thought I'd see this day. It actually feels like a manifestation moment, actually. But Frederick, you were on The Apprentice. So tell us, like, is this really like, how does it happen? How does it happen? That's the question.
It's great. So even with that, it wasn't straightforward for me. Nothing in life ever has been. So I applied for season 18 of The Apprentice. 80,000 people typically apply. I went through 3 months of auditions and I went to the final 25. Out of those 25, 18 make the show, 7 are reserves. So the odds are stacked in my favor.
7 are reserved.
Were reserves in case someone gets COVID, someone no longer wants to do it, and then you can slot in.
Okay.
If not, then it's a no.
Oh, wow.
But as a reserve, you have to go through all the process. You have to buy your suits, you have to go through all the meetings, and then, for example, on my season that I was on, 3 people were reserves, and then were drafted in last minute. Yeah. So I thought, okay, even as a reserve, I might make it last minute, but I didn't.
Okay.
And it was just so disappointing because with these things, I've always felt like I'm the nearly guy. Like I nearly got to the Olympics. I nearly went to America.
Tell me about it, Frederick. Oh my Lord.
I was like, I'm the nearly guy again. And then I thought, but how much cooler will my story be if I got rejected the first time and then I try again and then I make it another time? I thought that'd be even better. I didn't know if that I would. I was like, I'm gonna try my best. So in that year, I literally went so crazy. I focused in on athletics. Not on athletics. I focused in on business.
Yeah.
It helped that at the same time I had a partner. So I was no longer like a single guy dating. I was like in a secure relationship, and she gave me the platform to focus on my business, which was really helpful. And so in that year, I literally spoke in Las Vegas, I spoke in Nigeria, I worked with the government of the British Virgin Islands, worked with Sky. Like, it was the best year of my career. So then when I applied again, it was undeniable when I got on the show.
That's amazing.
Crazy.
So it's true what they say, that behind every great man, there is a smart woman.
I totally agree with that.
Yeah, that's really great. I appreciate it. Shout out to you if you're out there. Okay, so then you got onto the show.
Then I got onto The Apprentice, which was crazy because I'm a fan of the show.
Me too.
So being in it was like being inside a simulation. I'm there in a suit with candidates, Lord Sugar, Tim, Brandon Brady, and it was just such a crazy experience. It was a lot harder than it seemed, though. Because
I feel like I sit there every year and I scream at my TV.
it's so hard because firstly, each episode is filmed over 3 to 4 days, 12 to 16 hours of filming a day, and then you don't really sleep much, you don't really eat much, so it's physically demanding. I was there for 2 months, and after 3 weeks, I started to feel a bit like a zombie.
Wow.
So then you start to see why we make silly mistakes, because we haven't eaten, we haven't slept.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense now.
You're at your worst, and you have 5 cameras on you, and then you're selling potatoes for 17p, and you have to do 17 times 150, and I'm like, I don't know, and you're never gonna calculate. So that's when the entertainment element comes into the show, but we mainly make mistakes just out of pure exhaustion.
That makes so much more sense now. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wait, sorry. This is gonna be the part where you're gonna have to cut out, but yeah, I'm just in shock. Like, Okay, let me just refresh my mind.
Don't worry at all.
Because this, I'm having my surreal moment as well, because I just realized I've always watched The Apprentice. Like, I was like 15, and I was like watching it, and I was like, wow, imagine, like, it felt so out of touch. For you to sit next to me and talk about Lord Sugar and Karen Brady like you met them yesterday for coffee.
That's crazy.
I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah. Of course.
Yeah. So what inspired you to join the show? What's the reality behind these? Okay. So what do you feel like was your key takeaway from this entire experience of The Apprentice?
That's a great question, because initially I went into it thinking I would learn a whole lot about business, and that wasn't necessarily the case, because the reality of the show is that it is a reality show.
Yeah.
So it's
A bit staged.
as much entertainment as it is business acumen. It's not staged, but it's also not, you don't have free reign to do stuff.
Yeah.
And so you can't use all the colors that you want. You can't call things what you want to call them. Yeah, exactly, yeah.
That makes so much more
Do
sense
you
now.
understand?
Yeah, I think it was like the Easter egg challenge. I kept looking at it. What in the 70 shades is happening there? You know? And now that makes a lot more sense.
You
I
can't
will
use
tell
the colors
you.
that you want. You can't. There are a lot of restrictions.
Yeah.
And we can't use the same colors as the other team. So if the team gets there before us, then we have to use separate colors.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot of restriction around things. And also, it's not just, you might have a really clear idea of what you want to do, but then there are other 4 people that you're arguing with, and you have to come to some sort of solution. So yeah, it's tough. But the biggest lesson I actually learned from the show coincides with the biggest challenge that I had, which was how tired I was every single day. And it was that you can't pour from an empty jug. So by episode 7, when I went, spoiler alert, episode 7 when I got fired, I was so drained. Like so drained. I watched the episode back and I was like, yeah.
Was it a double firing?
It was a double firing. It was a double firing. It was. And I got to the stage where I was like, I'm happy to get fired.
Yeah.
And
I guess a lot of people get like that, right?
Yeah. And it's, when I used to hear people say that, I was like, but how does that work? But it makes sense because you're so just genuinely physically and mentally tired. I started to make mistakes. I was project manager, but I was kind of like, yeah, guys, just get on with it. Like whatever ideas they came up with, I was like, yeah, that's fine. And I just thought whatever will be, will be.
If it's meant to be, it will be something like that.
Something like that. And I kind of stopped fighting for it. And I don't have any regrets because also when I came back home, stuff was happening with family and it made sense for me to be back home at that point.
Yeah.
So I did think like happened for a reason. I got both trips in, so I was super happy with my journey. But the main lesson I learned from The Apprentice is that you cannot pour from an empty jug. The only thing I'll do differently is in the house when we had days off, just fully take the day off. Because
what were you doing?
Well, socializing.
Okay. Was that draining you?
Yes. Yeah, because as much as I've got this big personality, I am introverted where I charge the battery by being by myself. Like I really need solitude and going for walks. So I couldn't go for walks. And I'm in this mansion with these individuals that I don't really know and I'm getting to know. What some people did, like Chizola from the show, she just had her Bible and she'd be in her room. That's it.
Oh, that.
So where I should have done that. But in my head I was thinking, I don't want to come across antisocial. I don't want to, seem like this. Let me just socialize. But then I'd wake up the next day, which is a task day, drained.
Some people are just built like that. They can just go on and on and on. I'm like you. I need a moment, especially as an only child. I need a moment,
Exactly.
Absolutely. So yeah,
that's what it was.
That's crazy. That's really interesting. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, so but what was your business plan?
Yeah, so the business plan was exactly what I have now, which is Believe in Greatness. So with Believe in Greatness, we help professionals, entrepreneurs and students get really good at speaking and communicating under pressure. Prior to going onto The Apprentice, like I said, I had a great run, had a great year.
Yeah.
So we had a really big contract with the government of the British Virgin Islands. And I showed them that and I said, look, I got this contract. I'm kind of just winging it. I don't know what I'm doing. Imagine if we times this by 10, 15, 20. Like, this can be a multi-million-pound business.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what the business plan was. And that's what I'm doing now.
That's what you're doing now.
Yeah.
So within this business, is it like a service that you'd be running for young people where they can learn how to public speak?
Precisely. So we run it for individuals, no matter their age, but we do have it for young people as well. And like, the importance of what we teach is that you will always be perceived at your level of communication. Meaning, if you've got 5 degrees, you got a PhD, and you're really smart, but you can't articulate your ideas under pressure, no one will ever know.
Yeah.
You'll be perceived, if your knowledge is a 9 out of 10 and your speaking is a 3, we will perceive you at 3 out of 10 because we don't know those ideas in your mind.
Yeah.
What's also happening in the digital age that we're in now is that people are increasingly finding it harder to speak to people because the vast majority of interactions we have are online, whether it's a Zoom meeting, whether you're FaceTiming or just texting people. So that's when we come in because whether it's a student or a CEO, you need to be able to speak really well under pressure, and that's when we come in and we help with that.
I struggle with that. I'll be honest. I can do this, but when it comes to like under pressure, I don't know. I just crumble. Like I almost feel like my accent gets worse. I don't even know if you can tell that I've got an accent, but
Not much.
I just feel like it just gets worse, and I can hear my mom in my voice, and it's like, yeah, I think a lot of people struggle with that. What are your tips to overcome, like any fears in public speaking or?
The first thing is that when we're under pressure, our body goes into fight or flight, so we tend to rush. So I always say, speak at a pace that's comfortable for you. Take your time. So do this exercise. We can quickly do it.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. There's an exercise called chain game.
Okay.
I'm going to give you a word, and then you have 20 seconds to say a chain of words that associate with the word I just gave you.
A chain of words that
Chain of
associate
words.
with the word
For
you just
example,
gave
if I
me.
give you table, you would say IKEA, desk, legs. It's words that associate.
This is difficult. Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Cool.
I'll give him a best shot.
So your word is going to be fan.
Cool air. Russell Hobbs. Is that where you can buy fans? Yes. Okay, I'll give you 7.
No, I'm counting.
Oh, you're still
You've got
counting.
20 seconds. Yeah, keep going.
You can put ice in front of a fan to make a really cool AC. There's cheap ones and expensive ones. The Dyson's one I heard are really good.
All right.
Okay.
This is a great example. So I gave you 20 seconds to say a chain of words.
Yeah.
What I always say is saying a
But
chain
I form
of words.
sentences instead.
Yes. And also, what you heard is say as many words as you can. Even though I just said say a chain of words.
Yeah.
So that's what happens when we're under pressure. We tend to rush. So that could be a team meeting, could be a job interview. Tell me about yourself. And you feel like, and I will say, no, like go at a pace that's comfortable for you. Slow down. So we're going to do that exercise again. What I want you to do is, even if in 20 seconds you say 5 words, that's perfectly fine, but just take your time. What I want you to try and avoid is saying So you said a few ums. You're like,
I didn't.
Try to not say Take your time and let's see if round 2 is any different.
Do you want still me to do fan?
No, I'm going to change the word.
Okay.
So you have 20 seconds to say a chain of words that associate with chairs.
IKEA. Strong. Comfortable. Materials. Cushioned. Armchair.
Time. Did that feel any different to round 1?
It felt much different.
Or was it
I
different?
felt like I was actually thinking, and I was putting attention to what I was saying, and I was actually building like a picture in my brain.
Fantastic.
That's crazy.
Crazy.
He's just changed my life.
And
Wow.
the only difference is that you allowed yourself time to think. So when you're speaking under pressure, like, the biggest thing I can tell people is give yourself time to think. Take your time. It's not a race, not a competition. Your brain will automatically do what it did in round 1. Like, oh my gosh, But actually, emotional regulation is when your brain tells you to do something and you manage to do something else, which is a really important aspect of speaking.
I get why you get paid for this.
Thank you.
This is really, really good. This is some good stuff.
Thank you.
Thank you. Honestly, I'm going to take that away. That was amazing. Okay, my last question for you, Frederick, is if you could give yourself maybe like advice, or if you could tell something to your younger self. And I struggle with this because I feel like there's a lot of different stages in your life where you needed to speak to yourself. So you can choose. I'll give you a choice. You can either speak to your 11-year-old self, your COVID-year-old self, or your before the Apprentice self. So you get, or maybe you have something to say to all of those.
Yeah, I'll say the same thing to each and every one.
Yeah.
Which is, if someone out there has already done it, then it's possible. And I can learn from the people ahead of me and teach the people behind me. The reason I would say that is because a lot of people struggle with imposter syndrome, for example. Who am I to start a podcast, to have a business? But actually, there are people that are going to go through what you went through and would find your experiences super valuable. At the same time, there are people that are way ahead of you. And if they've done it, it means that it's humanly possible, so you can aspire to do the same.
Did you feel imposter syndrome when you went on The Apprentice?
I feel imposter syndrome on a regular basis. But what I've learned about imposter syndrome is that, in my opinion, imposter syndrome is kind of inexperience in disguise. Because if I reflect on any time I did something new, I felt like an imposter. Whether it was speaking, racing, doing a first podcast, it was like, oh my gosh, do I really deserve to be here? But once it happened 2 or 3 times, it felt absolutely normal. So if you're someone who struggles with imposter syndrome, just know that you're not weird, you're human, and you can defeat it by constantly proving to yourself you belong here.
Exposure therapy.
Precisely.
Thank you so much, Frederick. That was honestly amazing. Thank you for being on the podcast.
Thank you.
All right, everybody. That was the Greenwich Means Business podcast, and that was Frederick Afrifa. Thank you so much for joining us. And if you like this episode, feel free to share it with your friends, family, or other fellow colleagues or students. See you in the next one. Bye.
You can find our podcast on Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts. Subscribe to never miss an episode.